Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. I am yelling into my microphone because I always try to listen. My guests sound great. I sound terrible on my own microphone. Welcome to January 2025. I think we're still in January. Here's what is it called? Housework, homework, maid work. I don't know what they call it. Join the Patreon. We have a lot of fun. We have a live every month where you can learn to read or read better or try something you never tried before. Be sure you sign up for my newsletter at karenrontowski.com, because if something happens to my social media, I want you all to find the dates to come to my show. First part of 2025 is a lot of corporate. Second part, I'm going to be all over the place. So sign up for that. And I think that's it. And check out my new Yes or No deck that has a joke on every card. It's a 20 card deck and it has a joke on every card. You could buy that there. All that, I probably forgot something. I don't know. Put on your thinking caps. Camille Elizabeth is here. Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm so good. And I feel like that's such a kind thing for you to say, put on your thinking cap. I mean, I always feel like I'm just kind of rambling about random stuff I've learned over the years. So I'm glad that, it's helpful at some point, the things that I said.
Oh my God. I loved our last podcast when you were, I almost want to say you mentioned the Bible and then you were like 5 quotes in and this and that. And I've read the Bible 5 times and everything, but all your stuff is so, what is your astrological sign?
Well, I am a Taurus sun, but I'm an Aries rising. And then I have a Gemini stellium after that. So everyone's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense why you're always just thinking about stuff all the time.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you're so great with details. I am not a detail person, but I feel like you know facts and figures and all kinds of stuff like that. So, and it's great to talk to you. And I believe that, what was I going to say? Okay, I lost my place. I'm pulling up my notes because I have so much to talk to you about.
I mean, listen, when you're talking to me, you have to have notes. I mean, that's just how it is, right?
I do. You know what else? I'll be totally honest with you. I moved. I finally, I don't know why, because I'm probably leaving soon, fixed my apartment the way I wanted to, and I'm facing a window. I need to be looking out when I do my readings or doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I have made friends with a squirrel who comes to my window and now takes peanuts out of my hand. And he's poking his nose through the window, like, where are my peanuts? And I'm like, I'm doing something, Marshall.
That's very Disney princess of you. I wouldn't have expected that.
Oh, that no one's ever accused me of that. I love it. So, all right, darling. Now, your website has the greatest name. It's highlyspiritualperson.com, right?
Yes. Yeah. highlyspiritualperson.com. That is where basically my show, my blog, all of the conversations and interesting stuff that I like to pontificate about lives. Yeah. That's where all of that lives.
Okay. Now, wait, you said show. How come I don't know about this? What's that? Is it videos?
So,
Is it YouTube?
Yeah, I do have a video podcast. Yeah. Where I interview other healers, other people in the spiritual space, and basically just have, really trippy conversations with people to do all kinds of weird healing work, medium work, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, that's all on highlyspiritualperson.com. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not to take away from today, but you have to hear next week's episode. Now,
Yes,
I do
yes.
every 2 weeks. There's a healer I'm having on. I'm just going to tell you, folks. We're going to talk about that then. We're going to talk about this now. So tell me, what have you been up to, my friend?
Oh my goodness. The universe is very funny, right? I feel like the last time I talked to you, I thought things were going in a certain direction, and then it's kind of like the universe and spirit was like, oh, no. Just hold on to your ass. We got something for you. So I think, in our last conversation, I was telling you about my Reiki work, and, I've been an energy healer for years and I love it and all that, blah, 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 blah. And sometime around, I think the time that you and I last talked, my work started to change, and it was really weird because it wasn't conscious. It wasn't something that I felt was being directed by me. It was like spirit was all of a sudden telling me to do Reiki wrong. That's the only way that I can explain it, because Reiki, and I'm sure a lot of folks that listen know this, that Reiki, it's like a very specific system. Like when you learn it, you get the attunements and you learn these symbols and there's specific hand placements and you do things in a certain order, fine, right? And then all of a sudden, I would be doing sessions and spirit would say, don't start at the crown, start at the Earth Star chakra, which is a chakra that's about a foot below our feet. It's outside of the body, right? That's very unusual. Normally, Reiki, you start crown and you go all the way down. So you go from 7 to 1. This was saying, no, start at the Earth Star chakra and then go up. And then it would be like, oh, I need you to reconnect these two chakras, or I need you to put your hand in a chakra and pull things out, or like blow out smoke from a chakra, like things that were just like very unusual, right? Or like stream energy into a specific bone or specific muscle or specific organ, like things that you're really not taught in Reiki, but like spirit was telling me to do these things. And afterwards, like my clients would like come back to me crying and say, I used to have this chronic condition. I don't have it anymore. Or like I had this ex-boyfriend that was bothering me. They're not bothering me anymore. Just like weird, freaky stuff that was happening. And then one night, I got woken up in the middle of the night by spirit, and the spirit was like, you need to learn how to do soul retrievals. So I went and did a shamanic training on soul retrieval. And then it was like, you actually need more training to hone this. So I've gone through, that's a long-winded way of saying I've gone through this like entire initiation, and like the nature of my work has completely changed. It's honestly hard to find words for it. I call it quantum healing because that's kind of the basis of it. But like, it's completely different than the last time you and I talked.
Okay, so I love that you call it quantum healing, because I have to tell you, I go to see a shaman who insists that she's not a shaman, which I appreciate, because she's like, no, those guys do other stuff. And I tried to have her on the podcast and she didn't want it to air because it was like, what do you do? And she was like,
right.
But she's incredible. So I love that you are being guided this way, because I do remember weird things happening with Reiki, and it is kind of, it's if you have a different teacher, it's not as rigid, but I this sounds so arrogant, but I think we've outgrown Reiki a little bit.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. I think that Reiki, I'll put it this way. I think everyone should learn Reiki. I think it's one of those things. I think it's going to kind of be how, like, you have some Robitussin in the cabinet and it's like, oh, you're feeling a little icky. Oh, take some Robitussin. Or you have this tea. Oh, you have an upset stomach. Take some ginger tea. I think Reiki's kind of like that. Everyone should learn how to do it just for like, just heal on yourself, heal on other people. Like, it's just a good thing to know. But I think when it comes to like the more higher level multidimensional healing, there's something else coming in that I and other healers are like getting downloads on and are getting pushed to learn. And like, your friend who's like the shaman, not shaman, that we're all like now being pushed to the forefront to do. And it's like, even as someone who's been in like the weird woo-woo spiritual path for this long, even I'm just like, wow, I was not expecting this.
Yes, and also it's probably one of those things where like you get something channeled, and the next thing you're looking in a book, and you're like, how did I already know that?
Absolutely, it's like re-remembering. That's exactly what it is. It's like re-remembering. And when I was finally prompted to actually like join a mystery school and like learn more of these quantum tools, and I'm in the classes every week, and learning from this teacher, and like I would start to use the tools, right? Because we had to practice. And I was like, this feels like second nature. Like this feels, a lot of it was very similar to the stuff that I had already been, being told by spirit. But even in the structured class, when I was practicing, I'm like, this feels like something that I did like 10,000 years ago. And I'm just like, oh yeah, this whole thing. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's past life stuff coming up so fast.
Yeah, wow. I think it is.
Okay, I'm going to neurodivergent off this course. That's in my phone, you're Camille Elizabeth, because because you taught me what neurodivergent meant.
Yeah.
And so lately, and we are taping, folks, we're taping this in November, because I'm always way ahead. I have had the biggest, like, I don't really meditate like this, but
Mhm.
there has been like such an influence of like Kali, Lilith.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not I kind of want to say I'm not a god name dropper,
Yeah.
but female power is
Yeah.
on fire now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, and I just want to say just real quick, that's very LA of you to start, name dropping the deities that wish to work with you. It's like, oh, okay, we get it, we get it.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you, and I would go even further. I think it's specifically kind of like the some people call it the dark feminine. I don't know if I love that. I kind of call it like the fiery feminine, the warrior feminine kind of thing when you said Kali. Like for me, it's funny you say that. Sekhmet has been coming in really strongly for me. And
Who's
I'm
that?
also so Sekhmet is an Egyptian deity. She's like so there's two kind of like cat lion deities. There actually might be more. So Egyptologists don't, at me, but the two main ones that you hear about in like the pagan witch spiritual communities are Sekhmet and Bastet. And some people say they're kind of the same deity, but just like two different versions. So like Bastet, that's like the black cat kind of like feminine archetype in the home more. And then Sekhmet, she's really the goddess of like war and healing. And she has been coming in heavy for me lately, even though I really don't do deity work either. But it's like I think we are going into this age where like the feminine is coming back online, but also like feminine leadership, like that like goddess warrior queen energy, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna get political at all, but
Mhm.
it happened when, I predicted he was gonna win last year,
Yeah.
halfway through the year,
Yeah.
third of the way out, and then it really hit me like a bunch of blocks when
Yeah.
he did,
Yeah.
and that's when all of these showed up. And also what was really weird was, uh somebody put an eagle. This is spiritually, folks.
Mhm.
This is in my head.
Mhm.
So it could be crazy, could be exact. There's an eagle that sits on my left shoulder, and I don't
Mm.
know. And it's almost like it's not a go to war feeling because I just
Mm.
turned off everything. I don't want anything to do
Mhm.
with anything,
Sure, sure.
which is healthy, I think.
Yeah.
And until the Civil War starts, I'm
Right. Then we all got it,
we all got
forget about the laundry for a little bit. Civil War is happening. I get it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Somebody had one of those crazy prepper things. Nobody was buying the vegan freeze dried that lasts for months, like 25
Right.
years. So they put it
Right.
half price. And I was like, well,
Oh.
I'll buy it now.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're all like standing strong. And then that eagle is I'm sure it means something. Maybe it means
Mhm.
for America. But yeah, that we always talked about the feminine coming forward. I think it's
Mhm.
here.
I think it's here, and I think for the eagle, you've always you strike me as some person who is like very very elemental. Like you work well with elementals because you're always talking about like different animals. You're an animal lover. Like I feel like you always live in places where like bats are coming in and squirrels and there's wind. Like you're just very very elemental. And eagles to me, um, the eagle energy usually to me is like visionary, being able to see from like a high perspective, being able to see everything. Also, eagle could be like the two wings of the same bird, balance, that can be an energy. There's a lot of things that it can mean, but like for me, it's usually like, oh, I'm able to see from a really high perspective if I'm calling in that eagle energy. So that might be what it
Oh,
is.
I think you're right. I think the eagle was telling me to see from
Yeah.
a very high perspective. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is, yeah, because it was pretty, I don't know what happened, but I was like, okay, I know we all got to stay neutral. We all got to, no matter
Right,
what, we
right,
got to
right.
hang
Right,
in
right,
there.
right.
But I just had a moment where, whoa. So now, um, when you're I kind of want to say when your clients come to you, do they
Mhm.
expect something or you're just like, whatever happens, happens? Because I know your backstory about
Yeah.
how you just went to a Reiki share on a whim and it wasn't even your thing. And like the whole freaking world opened up.
Yeah.
Which is really like that I wish we could all have experiences like that, because that was like the universe going, "Yep, you're ready."
Yep. Yeah. No, that's exactly what it was. I'm pretty sure I told that story the last time, and how I just got my shit rocked in the back of a random chiropractor's office, and it was random and creepy, but cool. But yeah, when my clients come to me, so most of the people that come to me, it's weird. I kind of affectionately call the people who come to me like healers in need of healing, right? I consider myself a healer's healer. Most of the people, and I did not intend for this. Most of the people that come to me are healers or artists of their own type. And it could be like, I have one who's a nurse. I have one who's a jewelry maker. I have one who's another energy healer, like an acupuncturist, people who do all kinds of healing in all kinds of stripes and all kinds of art. But generally when people are coming to me, it's because there's some kind of pattern, or I call them template, something that is repeating a lot in the person's life that they want to end. So it's not generally a one-time thing. It could be, but it could be something like, I always use the ex-boyfriend as an example. I have this ex-boyfriend, he keeps calling me. I don't know why I can't block him. I don't know why I can't get rid of him, right? Or I keep dealing with narcissists. My boss is a narcissist. My mom is a narcissist. My best friend was a narcissist. Why do I keep attracting narcissists? Or like, I have this chronic health condition, or why do I keep breaking my leg every year? Like something where it's something repeating that is taking energy away from them that they could be using for other things in their life. And as far as what they expect, anything could come in. But I always say prepare for at least the next 3 days after the session to be like, you got to sit your ass down, generally.
What now, when yes, take it easy. When your people, because this is the thing in tarot, I'm going to give a real simple example, but you nailed it when you said, I can't block him. I can't just, and they always have an excuse. Always. Yeah. Well, he's on my phone bill. Well, is this and I am probably too far the other way. Like, just get out. Like I can lose people fast, and I'm not saying that in a good way, because sometimes I run fast, but do you ever just see the pattern right away? Like sometimes in tarot, you see it, but they can't break it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's usually what the issue is that they have enough awareness that they see there's something that they don't like, but they're not seeing how they can reclaim their power from it. And this is where like the quantum healing thing is really helpful, and I think is better than Reiki, because in quantum healing, this is, multidimensional healing, right? We're going into the quantum field, which is basically like the realm of infinite possibilities. It's the space outside, the realm outside of space and time, right? That's underlying all of this. So I'm going into your subconscious mind. I'm going into the field. I'm going into your light body. And I'm just looking for like, okay, where is this pattern, and what is it coming from, and what's holding it up? And sometimes it's like past life stuff. It's some karma that they have with that person. And that's why it's like, it can't be resolved, because they're not like calling their power back from that and neutralizing it. Sometimes it's like they're getting something out of this they don't realize they could be getting from something else. Like with the ex-boyfriend, okay, maybe there's some need that they have around attention or connection that it's like, okay, let's collapse that out so you can get that attention from someplace else. It could be so many different things, or it can just be, an ancestral energy that's been passed down. It could be just a loop that you're in that we just need to like finally just destroy so you can just move on. But yeah, it's like a lot of people who come to me are like, well, how do I reclaim my power? And that's what this work is really good for.
Wow. Okay. Oh, we're way over time. Okay. Hold on, folks. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Do you love everything paranormal, supernatural, or otherwise spiritual?
Well, of course you do. You're listening to Paranormal Karen.
If you like some humor sprinkled into your morning commute or wherever you listen to your podcast, we don't judge. We've got the most fantastic paranormal podcast for you.
I'm Dana.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Megan. We'd love for you to join us at Supernormal on YouTube or wherever else you get your podcast fix.
Trust us, it's weird, it's wild, and a whole lot of fun.
I'm not weird, you're weird.
You know, that is the one that kind of sticks and stinks a little bit, which is, I think, I hate to say it that way, but the past life stuff where you can't figure it out yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's funny, even going back to the first part of the conversation where you're like, I was in one direction and the universe is like, nope.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Did you just know that you were on the wrong direction? Did things fall into your lap?
You know, it's funny. So like, I don't know if I believe in a wrong direction.
Right.
So I mean, how deep down the rabbit hole do we want to go here?
Or a stagnant.
Right. I think stagnant is the better term, because I don't feel like anything was lost from any of the work that I've done previously, or even the stuff before I really got on this path. I think it was more kind of like, hey, it's time, and now we're pushing you towards this new thing. And me, because I'm kind of stubborn, sometimes I like to wait until the message is very loud. Hence me getting my shit rocked in, the Reiki share. Like maybe I might have gotten much subtler signs before that, but I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to embarrass myself in front of strangers. I'd rather have that as my experience. Same thing with this quantum work. I mean, yeah, there might have been clues before that. And then, Spirit was like, yeah, we're actually just going to whisper in your ear and tell you to do this. And we're going to freak you out.
It's funny. Actually, the last time I ran into you was in Pittman. I'm coming back to Pittman.
Yeah.
But someday when I really get myself together, I would love to, like before my show, have like a psychic healer fair where people come in early and do all that stuff. That would be awesome. This is a quick jump, but I want to make it because it's kind of right along the lines of what we're talking about. So, and especially right now, oh my God, as you're talking, 2 squirrels are now in my window. Like
I told you, I said, you are just a shaman of a Disney shaman is what you are, I swear.
Oh, don't chase that other squirrel away. Leave them be. Okay. So, this is a big deal right now. And I'll tell you, I will probably take your course because, I feel like protection is getting harder, different. And let me tell you that you're putting up a 7-day class. Is that going to be an online class, or they have to be?
Yeah, this is an online class. It's already launched.
Great.
It's out. I'll make sure the link is there. Yeah, the reason why I put this class out is because, as an energy healer, I meet with people, and some of the issues that I see people deal with, it's not the deep stuff that we talked about, right? The ancestral or, the past life stuff. It's not the complicated stuff. It's literally them just not understanding spiritual and energetic boundaries, and like they're just letting too much into their space, and it's causing issues. Like it's an easy fix, but I realize I'm like, okay, because I've been an energy healer for all these years and taken all of these advanced courses, like I've just learned the stuff over time, but other people might not know this stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, I can just impart this little knowledge so people can just go about their day, whatever they're doing, whether they're a healer or not, and just protect their field. Because it's like when you have other junk in your field, it just makes your life so much harder. And I think that's only going to get more difficult in the years to come. Like next year is a year 9, and there's going to be a lot of just endings, and there's going to be a lot of just stuff pulling our focus. And it's like, you really need to make sure your energy is clear and protected.
You're so right. And I had a conversation with someone, and I'm going to get a little creepy, folks, but you know me. So I texted my demonologist friend, and I was like, is it just me, or has it been suspiciously quiet? And like no cases, nobody email, nobody having problems. And I was like, that's not right. And somebody called me and we were texting, and they said, Oh, yeah. My people told
Mhm.
me, the demons are coming. I know that sounds like we're on
Mm.
a movie or something. Doesn't necessarily mean like heart, blowing smoke,
Right.
fire, or whatever. But the bad shit is coming, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. And
Yeah.
this is your tool to
Mhm.
to do it. And I love that you made it 7 days. So is
Yep.
it a video each day?
Yep, yep. You get a new tool every day, and you also get journal prompts, so you help integrate it because you really it's the tools are easy, but they do require just a little practice. So you practice one each day. By the end, you're going to have all 7 ready to go, and you can use it in your practice however you want.
And you know what else? When you have all 7, they can mix and match them,
Yeah,
right?
you can stack them. Exactly. That's what I do for myself, but that's what I also do when I'm working with clients is like, okay, we need a little bit of this, we need to do a shield here, we need to do an anchor here, and you'll know. I mean, I think, if you are somebody who is very sensitive or an empath or an intuitive, as I think most of us are, if we're in this space, if you're listening to this show, you're,
You're on
probably
it, yeah.
right, you're on that wavelength. Like, we just get so much shit thrown at us all the time. You have to just be able to know each day, like, what do I need to do to like protect my space?
Yes, and I feel like people are having ailments or things bother them that they don't know this is what the problem is. And if you start with this problem, the other problem cleans itself up.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had like little aches and pains, little things that I'm like, what is that? And it's like, oh, I gotta clear my energy. I gotta get this stuckness off me. And it's just like, oh, okay, it goes away because it's like, oh, it's something that's like kind of sucking on my energy. And it's funny you said about like the demons are coming. And I would love to know your thoughts on like what a demon actually is. But like for me, when I do like entity removals, dark entity removals, what people would call demons, like to me, a demon is just any energy that like takes without giving. And I don't know, like, do you agree with that? Do you
Oh,
see
that's a
demons as something
great
else?
yeah, that's a great analogy. I mean, if you wanna get into, like, the, before Bible times, they were
Mm-hmm.
helpers. If your demon
Mm-hmm.
showed up, it was like, "Oh, I'm off track, I gotta learn something." And then
Right.
somehow they became kind of these, kinda wicked creatures. When I don't know that this person was talking about this, I don't think so, but, like, there is, like, tiers,
Mm,
of them, and in the top
mm.
tier, which is almost looking like an Exorcist movie, don't anyone
Yeah.
worry about that. You've really gotta that's a whole different level that 0.0000001% of a million people will run into. It is true. I have seen it. There is also the ability of someone to be so out of touch with their shadow side that it shows
Mm-hmm.
up that they're possessed. So
Mm.
there's that.
Yeah.
It's a wide range. When you really get into, what are servitors or stuff like that, it's a little
Mm.
complicated. But I think what is going on now, which is what my friend was talking about, is little things are jumping on and taking over people. And
Yeah.
this is for like a minute when you lose your mind at the DMV or you
Mhm.
have a fight and all of a sudden you're throwing things and you're not a throwing person. So I think,
Mhm.
I'm sure that you have noticed there's spiritual people, speakers that we agree with, and sometimes we're like,
Yeah.
I'm on a different page.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are becoming influenced by something.
Yeah, well, this is one of my gripes with certain parts of the spiritual community. And you said it right. There's some stuff we agree with. There's some stuff we don't. That's just the nature of, being in a body in this world. Um, but I think there's a lot of people I've run into who don't want to like admit that the dark is real. They don't want to accept that there is darkness, there is bad. And to me, that is such a dangerous viewpoint, and it
Yeah.
makes you more vulnerable to that stuff. If you don't recognize or think that darkness exists or there's dark entities or dark energies that can affect people, that can easily take you over and you won't even know, like, why did I snap? Why did I do this? Why did I do that?
Mhm.
Well, if you don't think it's real, then it's very easy for it to just kind of hide in your field and you not even know it's there.
Yeah, I mean, I have been in a house where something entered the house that is a feeling like I can't explain. And another thing people like to do is to believe the reason I throw in the shadow side is because we can do that to ourselves with shame, but also that people want to blame, well, that person had that happen because, and there isn't always a blame.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's things are so much more complex. We want to make them simple and honest. I'm sure at a certain perspective, I mean, going back to the eagle, if we look at things from the highest perspective, I'm sure everything would make sense. But I think the further down you are to earth, I think it's very hard for us to see all of the dominoes together. It's just impossible. Like we can't figure all of it out, but that's why it's important to like make sure your what you own is clear enough so that you can at least see that as clearly as possible.
Yes. Don't you feel like I feel like there's so many layers to like so the I think the easiest was, and I hate to say it this way, but the church could control the people by going, there's you, above you is God and angels, and
Yeah.
beneath you is demons. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And there's so much between there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, this has been one of my biggest gripes with Western spirituality and Western Christianity in particular, is that there was a whole mystic tradition in Christianity that's as deep as anything you would find in Buddhism, Taoism, Sikh, whatever, any other of those Eastern religions. There was a beautiful, rich mystic tradition that has been basically subjugated, like just ignored, and it got reduced. Christianity got reduced down to exactly what you said, just as like, God good, devil bad, don't do this, don't masturbate, and like then you get your like cake in heaven, right? When it's really like there were all these mystics throughout history that had these really mind-blowing direct experiences with God. And of course, they are for the most part seeing it kind of through the lens of Christianity, but a lot of the stuff broke away from it, and for some reason you have modern Christians that see that as like, oh no, that's evil, you can't have that direct experience, it needs to be from the Bible or your pastor. And that to me, regardless, I'm open to everybody's religion, I don't claim a religion, that is available to everybody. But if your tradition told you that it's not, it's probably going to be less likely that you're going to experience it, and if you do, you might be like, oh, I'm just crazy.
Right, right. Aliens, what is that?
Exactly.
Meanwhile,
Exactly.
aliens are mentioned in the Bible. When people,
Yes. Yeah.
it's one of those things where when they start dissecting, well, Jesus said this, or where does it say this in the Bible? I think you could lose your mind. But I
Oh, yeah.
still feel like the Bible was written by men, not God.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, that goes, yes, 100%. Every spiritual text was written by people, and maybe it was inspired by God, but you have to remember that like there's no such thing as a pure channel. And I say that as someone who channels. Anything that is coming through still has to be filtered through your brain and what you know, your culture, your language, anything. So if information is coming from God, from spirit, from aliens, whomever, that information has to cling onto something in your brain for you to translate it out to everybody else. That's why the Bible, all the metaphors are using like farming and agrarian stories, because that's who was writing, that's who was channeling this information, and that's who would be reading it. But then also, like I said, there's no such thing as a pure channel. So they're still going to bring their patriarchy. They're still going to bring their conception of what women do, what men do, and what's, the times. So yeah, of course, they're going to bring through what they bring through. And then of course, the people who edit the Bible just conveniently left out the books that give women power and they give women, equal say. I mean, there's a reason why the Gospel of Mary is not in any modern Bible, but you can go and read it. You can go read the Gospel.
Yeah, I had my Mary Magdalene lady on, and she recommended some great books. It's funny also. I feel like when I made my predictions about the election, I was in such a neutral and I didn't have a hope or a not hope, and I got them all right. But I think so many people, and I don't know if I could do that again for next year because my heart is in a different place. But people really had a hard time with that. Like I kind of admired the astrologers that were like, well, I'm voting for so-and-so, and this is my prediction, because at least they admitted. But being unbiased, that's why I like doing readings over the phone. I'm not looking at you. I don't feel bad for you. I don't think you have more than others. I just am reading.
Well, I mean, that's why they say don't shoot the messenger, right? I mean, I think if you are in this type of work where you channel something, information, messages, healing, whatever, in order to do it, you have to be neutral. You have to, at least you have to step into that neutral space while you're doing the work. You can't judge the person in front of you. You can't really judge the information that comes through. You can't question it, because once you do that and you bring your ego and your mind into it, it's not going to be effective. It's not going to be accurate. You just have to let the information come through. And maybe this is why they said, I think in the Bible, they say a prophet is never accepted in their hometown. Maybe this is why people are like, hey, we don't like you now that you're saying all this stuff that we don't like. But when we step out of that work and we're, just doing our own lives, doing our laundry, voting, whatever the other stuff. Yeah, we're allowed to have our own opinions and stuff. But when we're in the work, we might say things that are unpopular, but as long as we are just doing our best to bring through the information as, cleanly as possible. And like I said, there's no 100%, as cleanly as we can. That's it. That's the work.
Right. I remember before I used to read, I definitely had these ideas that this was right and this was wrong. And then as you're reading for someone, you go, oh, wow, this is all just, it's not right or wrong. It's how life goes.
Yeah, it's just stuff. And people come to you. I'm sure you get this too, to all of us, all healers and readers, that people come to us with the most mundane and the most wild situations and everything in between.
Yep. And shame.
And shame. And it's like shame is like antithetical to healing. If someone's in a shame state, they're going to hold on to that thing forever. You like banishing shame, I feel like, is necessary for that person to, receive whatever you're picking up in tarot, and to be able to use that information, or in order for this healing to stick and for them to not backslide into that energy. Like shame is not good. It's not good.
I think shame is like, you're right. I think shame is the number one problem, and it's so layered, beyond layered, and it's also it's you don't even know you have shame. And I kind of feel like every time I judge someone else, I try to think, where's my shame in that? Now, there is another line there. You know what? I'm going to take a break and we're going to come right back. Oh my God, you're so great talking to you. Okay, folks, we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, Paranormal Karen, what are you doing? Why aren't you taking CBD? Listen to me. P39CBD.com. That's where you want to go. That's where I go. That is where you're going to find the best. P39 CBD is committed to providing high-quality, premium-grade hemp extract products. P39 CBD uses organically grown industrial hemp sourced from nutrient-abundant soils right here in the USA to ensure a therapeutic-rich CBD product. Now, if you're not using them on your pets, go take a look at the website now. CBD, especially for aging pets, is fantastic, and you know how animals react way better to natural products. Get a jump on your holiday shopping and give the gift of health. Give P39 all-natural CBD. Use coupon code Karen for 20% off. Order now and get a free gift. Now listen to this list. P39 CBD is non-GMO, lab-tested, no pesticides, GMP certified, all natural, family owned and operated business. I couldn't even think of anything to add to that list to make it better. p39cbd.com. Stop by and see what they're all about. And if you're in Arizona, Fountain Hills exactly, make a trip, go in and say hello. Say, I'm a Paranormal Karen listener. 16810 East Ave of the Fountains, Suite 103, Fountain Hills, Arizona. p39cbd.com. Get yours now. So, as we're talking about guilt and shame, I think that's all it, but also there's a time for stepping back from your triggers. I was watching a lady last night, and I agree with her that all our triggers are something in our shadow, but I can't always get what that is. That's the hard part, is filtering out what that is. But I think that it's shame, which is actually, I guess that would be being thrown out of the Garden of Eden for eating an apple of knowledge.
Yeah, shame to me is like, it's two things. I think the first one is shame is you identifying like that you are that thing, right? So like if you steal a candy bar and you feel shame about it, not guilt. Guilt is like, oh, I did something wrong and you want to make amends. But shame to me is like, I am that. I am a thief. I am at my core the person who steals a candy bar.
I am awful.
Right. I am awful at my core. It's not like I did an awful thing. I am awful. But then when it comes to like the shadow part of it, it's almost like paradoxical. I feel like there's the opportunity for you to figure out, okay, what was I trying to achieve by doing that? What power am I hiding in my shadow that I could be using for a better purpose? But like, what is that thing that I actually want? And I think that is why it's so hard to like figure it out, because it's not always apparent. Like what is down there that is actually a good part of me that I'm not allowing myself to experience.
Right. Yeah, it's a complex thing. I think we talked about this last time. I can't remember.
Did we?
But no, I mean, what I'm about to bring up is there's a TikTok account called, and the guy's name is Morg. That's his name, Morg. And he has all white hair, and he's brilliant, and he's a Gnostic. And if you just watch 1 to 2 of his videos, you're like, maybe that's right. Like, and for people that kind of don't know, Gnosticism is almost everything flipped. Like Jesus is Jesus. They're still good with Jesus, but everything else in the Bible is wrong. Everything else is fallen angels. And it's like when he says, why would you be thrown out of Eden for eating the apple of knowledge? Why are you not, who doesn't want you to have knowledge? Satan, not God.
Yeah. The Gnostics, it's honestly, every time I take the time to read any Gnostic literature, it's always mind blowing to me, because it's like, if you're in the West and you know a little bit of the Bible, it's like you said, it's like a complete flip of it. And it honestly, to me, makes the way the world works makes sense a little bit more.
Yes.
I love it. I love going down the Gnostic rabbit hole.
I almost can say for myself, that's a lot of deprogramming to go along, but he's very handsome. And if he was my boyfriend, I'm not saying I would flip for him, but I think it would be easy to become Gnostic very quickly.
You know what? I think we figured out how people have converted to different religions I mean, that's just right. I mean, you've got a hot guy saying like, hey, do you want to go to this, this Bible study, this Gnostic meeting, this this whatever study, and you're like, yeah, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm doing all these different rituals, so that must be what has flipped people for centuries.
You know what? I'm going to tell you guys about, first of all, I'm going to ask you to tell us about your website, but I'm going to flip really fast through my computer, because there is a comedy special that's really worth watching. And this is a weird tip I'm going to tell you about it. I was trying to watch it on my iPad, and I was like, this guy is driving me nuts, because you sit very close to the iPad because it's, and he was moving around so much. And then when I stepped back and watched it on the TV, it was phenomenal. And it's about a Jewish guy that worked for NPR that goes
Mhm.
to a Klan meeting.
Oh.
And it's fabulous.
Oh, I
So
have to see that. I
it
have to see
and
that.
it's on HBO. I think he just became a member of SNL, but let me find it while believe me, there's some really good comedy specials, none that I would be like, "Yeah, you gotta see," because comics are very different than,
Oh,
um
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I'm gonna find this one. And while I'm doing that, first of all, your website has so much. It has books on there. It has, it's just fantastic. Tell me what's new. What's new on
Oh
that?
my gosh, what's not new? Yeah, so I have highly spiritual person. That's where my books live. That's where just all of the episodes of my show, my blog. So just anything, if you want to go down the rabbit hole of just exploring spirituality, that's where you want to go. And then because my energy healing work changed, I just made a new site for that. So I have another site called quantumcanvasenergyhealing.com. So that's where all of the energy healing work is. You'll find the 7-day energy protection course there. I have a library of recorded activations where you can go and download those and use those whenever you want. You can book a session with me. I also have a community for healers that you can learn about there as well if you're a
Oh,
healer that wants
do
to
you have a
receive healing.
Patreon yet?
It's not on Patreon, but it's on Mighty Networks. So it's in a similar platform, but same deal that it's a subscription. If you're a healer and you want like a low cost way to get healing and education every month, then you can join. It's called Oasis Nourishment for Healers. So all of that is on Quantum Canvas Energy Healing, and also you can follow me on Instagram at Camilla's Quantum. I always just kind of shit post there and make spiritual memes. So follow me there.
And you're also gonna be on my predictions podcast, right?
I would love to. My chat has been so open. I can't wait to hear what kind of crazy shit Spirit says is going to happen next year. So yeah, I can't wait to hear. Listen, like I said, I just try to be neutral, bring it through. Who knows? Maybe the aliens are going to take us all next year, but we'll see.
I know. I think I'm going to put a few of mine out on Instagram and
Mhm.
maybe get some people to watch it through that way. And you know what, folks? You won't notice, people at home, but I'm going to pause for 1 sec, find that special, and then come back. So hold on, everybody.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. The HBO special is called Addicts Edelman Just for Us. Just
Oh,
for
I have
us.
to watch that. I have to watch.
It's really kind of awesome. It's really great. It took me a minute because comedy always takes me a minute because comics are always so critical. And then by the end, I was like, I gotta watch that again.
Yeah.
So that is a wonderful. I forgot why we got talking about that. Why is that?
I mean, listen, we go down so many rabbit holes. I'm sure, I'll have to listen to this back to figure out how we got there. But yeah, maybe shame. Were we talking about shame and guilt? Or did it have to do with that? Maybe?
I think. Wait, maybe we were talking about layers of that or something like
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
just curious. I mean, I never feel afraid, but
Mhm.
I do think 2025 is going to change us drastically.
Yeah, I mean, the little bits and pieces that I've been kind of getting without, going deep into channel and trying to get the information. What I've been getting is that community is going to be very important going forward. Like who you're connected to, creating community, because we've been very, very isolated for a long time. That's going to be very important. Just figuring out
Okay. I'm sorry, folks. I stopped it by mistake for a minute. You were saying how community is going to be important.
community is I really think community is going to be super important. We've been so isolated, we've been so disconnected from each other. Learning what our values are and who shares our values, and just trying to find other people who we just kind of vibrate with. I think that's going to be a big thing. And then also, I mean, I'm sure your astrology friends have talked to you about, that we're moving into Pluto in Aquarius, which is all about, humanitarian efforts. I think that the next 20 years are going to be much different than what we saw in, Pluto and Capricorn. for the last 18, 19 years or whatever.
I'm glad you said healing because and humanitarian because I guess, again, folks, sorry, I don't really mean this in a political way, but I feel like we're getting ready to deport and denaturalize some people that have been here legally are going to be, they're going to try and get rid of them. And that's the opposite of, humane.
Yeah.
So
I honestly think there's going to be, a lot of attempts at things. And I think there's going to be a lot of people stepping into their power and being like, oh, I didn't realize I had a voice in this, when maybe, a year ago or 2 years ago, they would have never thought like, oh, wow, I can't say my opinion on things. I think there's going to be a lot more chatter. I think it's going to get noisy, but I do still feel like in the next couple years, we are eventually going to move towards something positive, but
yes.
it's going to be rocky. It's definitely going to be rocky for a while.
Yeah, I think the pendulum has to swing all one way, and I'm just waiting. I'm going to try and get neutral again and wait until it's
It's hard.
until
It's hard. It's hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Have you noticed this? I have noticed probably in the last year, very few people meeting people as in love. Like either it was before or it's going to be after. I'm not saying people are never going to match up, but something has happened to mankind that just going. I met someone in a bar. I met a guy at work.
Yep.
Nothing.
Most of my friends are single. I'm married, and it's like it's weird. It's so funny that I'm so like, against traditional norms and everything, but I'm like straight married, woman with a baby. Like I'm the most traditional, even though I'm not for traditional gender norms and any of that kind of stuff. And but all of my friends, I swear, I think about it, I'm like, do I have one married friend, male or female, anymore? No. And everybody's single, divorced, and like the dating scene. I mean, I feel like I escaped something horrific because they talk about like their experiences dating, and I'm just like, God, I would just have a vibrator and a Netflix account and just leave it at that, like, no, thank you.
Yes, you know what? You're onto something, and I think women they call it a male loneliness epidemic. But I feel like either now that I say that, I think I remember watching an astrologer say that because there was a year there where it was like all of a sudden there was a lot of divorced men on the market and nobody bought them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that you think about it, anytime there's a changing of the guard and energy, right? Like we had a very male dominated age for the last several thousand years. And now, if you believe in, these energies changing, a lot of people believe we're going into the age of Aquarius. We're going into a more feminine age. I mean, if you're in the transition period on that, it might be kind of no man's land for a couple 100 years. I don't know.
It's kind of also, I have a lot of female friends that just started dating trans women. So women that are becoming men. And I am telling you, that is a great change. They are like, it's like kind of because there is a feminine understanding.
Yeah.
And it was they're very happy. A couple of them are like, I'll never date a straight man again.
I've heard stories from trans people when they talk about like, oh, when I was presenting as this gender, then now I'm presenting as this gender. They have such a wider viewpoint that nobody else would have. Like if you were born, assigned female at birth, and then you transition and you're like, okay, now I'm presenting as male. That trans man is going to know what oppression feels like for a woman in society. They understand what it feels like to be a woman and not feeling safe walking alone at night. And they're going to bring that even as they're presenting as a man. I'm assuming they're still going to remember that. Yeah. So it's like if they're dating a cisgender woman, they're probably going to bring much more empathy because they're like, oh yeah, I remember when I was treated Like, I remember right? Like, that I would imagine, it's kind of like, I always say that, if you can, if you're dating a straight man, try to find a man that had sisters. It's probably,
Yep.
he understands women a little bit better.
Yep. Yeah. That is one thing. I'm going to be negative for a moment. I feel
Mhm.
like this country only worries about itself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, is this
people.
new information for
No.
you, Karen?
No, I feel like it was so apparent to me. And
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sure you all know where I stand. Nobody cares that he's a rapist.
Right.
And
Right.
that he was
Oh,
in
yeah.
Epstein's Island more than anyone else. No one
Yeah.
cares. No one goes, you know what? That's bad. That I feel bad for those. They don't even say that. They're like, well, the price of
Yeah.
eggs is high. And I'm like,
Right. Right.
that's where I'm losing my shit. That's where I'm losing my shit. It's like,
Yeah.
these are people. These are other human beings. If it was you
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
were being abused and everybody went, I'd love to help, but eggs are expensive.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can't. I think that's
Yeah.
why healers also being so empathetic are
Yeah.
just they're I don't know, they're overwhelmed with
Mhm.
they're overwhelmed energetically. Get this 7-day spiritual class, and even if you
Yeah.
already know how to cleanse it, anytime somebody can put a new spin on an
Yeah.
old habit, it's good.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be super helpful this year. And you know what? You said it best. I said this on social media. I think right now is a big time for shadow work, and I think it's a big lesson about empathy for everybody. Everybody. Like, empathy is gonna be a big, big energy that we all need to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, you are awesome, my friend. Tell everybody both of your websites again. Put in a good pitch here at the end.
Absolutely, yeah. So highlyspiritualperson.com for all things just going down spiritual rabbit holes. And then for energy healing for the 7-day energy protection course, that's all going to be on Quantum Canvas, energyhealing.com. And then you can also follow me on Instagram at Camilla's Quantum for just, like I said, spiritual shit posting.
Yay! All right. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Yeah, my pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
You too. All right, everybody. Have a great 2 weeks. I'm bi-weekly now. And like I said, check out easiest to get on my email list, karenrontowski.com or psychicstandup.com. And thanks to Mike at Una Rising Media. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Paranormal Karen, she's a spooky kind of queen. Paranormal Karen.